Hello everyone, hope you are all doing fine and hope you are able to download the Docker Hadoop Spark containers and set up a basic environment. But if you have faced any issue, then kindly mention in the comments. Now, a few things I want to say. If you have already set up the environment, you might as well face some issue, like when you are doing a Docker Compose upright, which I showed last time. You might have an issue where it is errored out, okay, because the container has got issues, some issues. Generally what happens is when you shut down the computer, right, you should also shut down the containers. When I say that, I mean that you have to shut it down by doing a down command. I will show you that. See, once you have gone to the environment, I have downloaded it and kept it in this environment, okay, that whole zip which we were seeing last day. So once our work starts, right, what we do a up. I will just show you. Yeah, so we'll do up, right? So we should do that up, and once we do that up, that environment comes up, all the nodes whichever is there. See, all these nodes will come up. But in case you are having an issue, right, in that case, like you are having error and all, generally what happens is if you do not shut it down, then this error comes. So when what do I mean by shut down? I mean, see, these are also like virtual machines, so you need to shut it down like you shut your computer. So how do we shut it down? We do a down command. uh, we do a docker compose down, then it shuts down. So it is like all my containers are very properly shut down. Now many times what will happen is that you have forgotten that your docker container is running, and you just go and you just shut down the whole computer. Then what happens is the state of the containers, right, does not get saved properly, might not get saved properly, and as a result of that, when next time you open, right, you might not get all this done, you might get an error. So in that case, what do we do? If or in case suppose your hard disk has an issue or something, right, so in that case what we can do is we first go and execute the docker ps as we were seeing last time. Once we do the docker ps, right, then we have the commands, and now what we will have the port, sorry, and one second, I have to make a docker up, then only it will come up. See, and previously you can see in this line there is nothing because I made a docker down. That means I put all the containers which are like each nodes you can think of, those are down. Now I made them up, right? Now I would be able to see all of them. Suppose while starting, right, how many we can see here? We can see here few of them, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them, right? So see, rather than starting 6 of them, we could see only 3 started and 3 didn't start. Then what do we do? And an error message also will pop up in your screen. So in that case, what you need to do is you need to go here, then you have the address, right, container ID. So you know that okay, only the 3 containers have come up, another 3 didn't come up, so my whole network won't work properly as expected. So I will go and basically I will remove those containers. Now how I will do that, we'll see that in just a second. So what we do is we just stop the containers first. This is the command for the stop. Suppose I want to stop this container, right, then what I will do, I will just copy paste this, then I will just put it here. I won't run it because again that would cause some problem, because all of them should be brought down together and started together. So now here if I do this, right, it will stop, but it will not say anything it is stopped or something, but it will print this value below. That means it has stopped it. Now once it has been stopped, right, then I can go ahead and I can remove the container or the node. So for that the command is rm. So unless and until you stop it, you cannot remove it. So if you have an error, you have to do a remove. Say 3 has started, right, which I was telling nodes, and 3 have not started. So for the 3 you have to go and you have to remove those 3 which have started, and then once you remove all of them, then you can do a up command again. So what happens is you do a compose up minus d, it starts, right? So this is one of the issues which you might face while starting the containers. So next we will progress towards the environment setup. Okay, environment as in how we can run the PySpark. So before we start that, right, I want to say something regarding this Docker containers. So if you would have downloaded the file, you would have seen all these have come to your machine. Now one of the file is docker yml. Yml is nothing but XML files only. So it's not exactly XML format, but it is near to that. So once we go there, right, we can see many things. Now what are these? Just for the understanding sake, because we will be doing a small change in this. So what is the change? So we can see here we have all those services, right? 6 nodes which we are seeing started. So these are the nodes: name node, data node. So these have been defined in the file. This is like a configuration file, config file. So you can see there is something called volume. Okay, volume is nothing but this is a container. Right now, if you want to map this container with respect to your local machine has a folder, and you want to get that folder access in your container, then how it will happen? Because containers can go down, right, tomorrow, but your local machine won't go down that easily. So what they have done is they have put this is your local path and this is your container path. So let's verify whether it's proper. See, here it is. They have put a dot to make it an absolute path. See, here it is. So then for our development, what we will do, we will create here. This folder will not be there in your one. I have created it, so you will also create it. You will right click and create new folder for Ubuntu and all Linux, but for others, Windows and all, there also you can go, you can right click and you can create a folder. So once that folder has been created, right, now I have also mentioned here this volume thing, but this volume thing, right, as because it's a configuration, so you have to take down, like the way I was telling, right, down command. You have to make the full thing down, make the changes, and then you have to again restart the this whole Docker containers. Otherwise the changes will not reflect. So I have already stopped it, and I have added this line. See, in the Spark master which is there, I need this folder. This folder is a folder which I have created in the local machine, this one. Okay, and this is the one which will be there in my container, that is my Spark master container. Now let's see how it is. Okay, so first thing is that we will just log in. Okay, we have this command. So now we want to log into the Spark Master. Our motto for creating this is, see, we want to execute PySpark, right? And we want to do the PySpark by putting the file somewhere. We don't want to go and run in a command line and then we get an output. We don't want to do like that. So we log in, right? Here if we do ls, we have these all folders, right? See, there you can see I have already created actually a PySpark code folder. This will not be there in your machine. You have to create it. I'll show you how you can create that. You can do a simple mkdir and PySpark underscore code. So this will create a makedir. So this will create a folder in your container. This is a container, right? We have logged into the container. So within the container, this will create a folder called PySpark code, which we have already mapped in our YML file, which is this one. So this is our host. This is a container. This is absolute path. So this is in the root only, root location. So you can put this, right? So next is, once we have done that, so you can see I have one folder called hello world, although there is a W by error. So the question is, how do I create a new file, right? So I will do a spark hello .py. See, if we go to this folder now, right, there is only one file which I had created. That's it. And this I have just copy pasted for my, like, I wanted to see whether the file is I can copy paste or not, I have permission or not, right? So now I go and I do spark.hello. This is not the W one, okay? This is the normal one. So once I do the touch and I do the command, I come back to my local machine. See, another file got created. So the advantage of this is, tomorrow my container goes down, no problem, my code will be there with me, right? So that is the advantage. So now what we will do is, we will do a spark. So if you want to do a file, right, you have to do, I will show you, just ignore for a second what I am doing. Hello world .py. Okay, this was not found because this is not there. So what happens is, this is a vim, right? So we have to install vim and we have to set the environment up for vim, right? Otherwise, why this is edited, so this editor won't open. Okay, so now we have we don't have the vim, right? So we can do a vi install apt. Okay, apt get, we have to do. Okay, sudo command is not there. Sudo is probably not installed. Okay, so now it is installing. Vim is nothing but a text editor which you can do, right? So the way we are doing here is, we are installing the vim from the net. So you will need a net, but in the future videos we will see how to do it permanently, because once you do the vim, right, this vim will go away once you shut down the machine. So we'll see that, but for now let's bear with it and let's okay, so it has happened now. See, there are two folders, right? So what we will do, we will do a vi, we will do a spark hello or whatever was there, and we want to see what's there in that, right? Not VUVI. Now this is the file, so I press an I, okay, I only for insert. So this is my command, this is our command that we will run. This is hello world. This is doing nothing, but this is initializing a Spark session, right? In Spark 2.1 and all, it has all been brought into one thing, that is Spark session. Previously there was Spark context, and it was Hive context, then session context and all that. So there were multiple things, right? So all of that they have brought together in a single thing, which they have called Spark session. And that Spark session, you have to name, you have to put a name to that application. We'll see what is the help of that as well. And then you do a C spark dot spark context. Here they are doing Spark context and returning that with a Spark NSC, and collecting, parallelizing it. So we'll describe this coding part once we go to the code section, right? But today we are just setting it up to see how a code is being run and how we can effectively use this environment which we have downloaded. So suppose this is the thing, right? So I copy paste this whole thing. Suppose this is my code I've got from somewhere, okay? Now what I do is I have to do a escape wq colon to come out. Now we have created a new file, right? We'll do the same thing in our new file. Here what we do, first we press I button, okay? Then whatever code is there, I have copy pasted this. You can put some code, you can write even here something, whatever you want you can write here, and you can execute it, okay? So now we do a wq and it got saved. Now next is how do we execute it, right? So for the execution we have a part, we have this command. So what this command does, this is Spark submit, which goes to the Spark. This is nothing but the IP address of my Spark master where I have to submit. So if you don't do this way, right, if you don't do this Spark submit and all, what will happen is we will not be able to see the output in the 7077. That is the Spark UI. Last day we were seeing one UI, right? We'll see that environment also once we run it. Not the environment, I would say the browser, right? So we go to here, we need to now go to the see, we know where the Spark is, right? In the Spark last session we had seen that where the Spark is. So we go there, we do ls, we find, see here there will be Spark submit. See, Spark submit is here. So now what we do is we copy paste it. See, this is the command. Hopefully this is the IP address now also. If not, we will change it, and we okay, no such file, because I have not put which one. Okay, I am running, I am inside that, right? So I don't need to give this path. If you do not, if you are outside, then you give a path like that. Spark submit should be there. One second. Spark submit, and okay. So we have to do like this because we are executing it. Now it will, okay, there is an error. What is the error? We could not find the Spark code, okay? So we have to just check what was the name of that folder, right? It was Spark underscore code, okay? So we don't need this thing. we'll just see that. See, we were doing one error actually. The error is like it's not hello world, right? We have named it spark underscore hello. If you can see here, it was spark underscore hello, this line. See, there were two files, right? Okay, so spark underscore hello dot py. Let's see. Okay, spark underscore hello is there. Okay, okay, now it got submitted as our path is right. So one slash was missing. So see, it is connecting to the 7077 where it is to run. Okay, so 7077 is, we will see that is the environment where, see, it is started in this environment. We'll just go and check it, but before that it might end. This is the intermediate environment check. Okay, so okay, I have done a control C, so it came out. We'll just submit it again, no issues. Let it complete, then we'll see whatever the activity is. So the code, what it does is, it will just print out a square, right, of whatever is the number. So we'll just do one thing, but it is starting in 0.2, probably our IP address which I was telling, right, which I had given at 0.3, that might not work, but let's see, because the IP is different, right, because once it starts the IP changes. Okay, so meanwhile, while it executes, right, so our motto is, see, here we are executing the code, but parallelly we are also doing one activity, which is like, see, we are also doing one activity. We are going and we are checking the files. Like, what we can do is, we can open in our local machine from some IDE this file, and we can parallelly do here run. So the development will be done in the local machine and running will be done here. So as I was telling, right, I had given a .2, but we'll check that. We'll check what is the, because we are in the machine itself, we will check what is the IP address of that ifconfig, because this is Linux. So it is, see, you can see it is 02. So we have done a mistake. We have done 0.2, 0.3, which we should have done 0.2. 0.2 is our Spark master. That is where it has to run. Okay, now it will go, it will run, and it will complete as well. So so the thing which I was telling is, see, one thing we can do is, we can develop our code here in the local machine, because with PyCharm and all, easily we can open the file and we can change and all the stuff. At the same time, we can execute it while execution, right, Spark submit, we can do in this environment. So that way what happens is, it becomes very easy for it to run. Means we can get both the feel of the ID, as well as we can get the feel of the normal stuff. Okay, so normal stuff as in, like, we can get the feel of the cluster, which is okay. So I was facing some issue, as in, like, what was happening is, it was not connecting to my 7070 Spark UI, and it was getting stuck. So what I did is, I just went and I just restarted my full server. Okay, like the Docker down, and I restarted it. So sometimes what happens, the networking, right, all these are like different containers, so they have to work with each other, so it has to submit in the worker nodes and all. That does not happen. So that point of time, you can restart it. That would help you. So I just went ahead after that, and I have submitted this command, this one, spark hello world.py, which we had created previously, remember, in the folder PySpark code. So now once I submit it, right, it brings me, I will just do it again. So the code will start executing and it will add a task. This is a job, this is not a normal one. So we can see our output actually will come like in the terminal. So as I was telling, right, it would make squares, it has made squares and it will put the values here. So now the thing is, how do we see that, right, that what has happened? So if the job is already running in a running state, you can check in the 4040 server, or else you can go to the you have to check always the IP address 172.22.04. so I will also check here to be doubly sure. Okay, so now we will go to our browser, and there we will type this one, same. Now you might have a question, what is this 8080? There I can see a 7070, like 7077, right? So why, how come it become 8080? So what we have done is, from the container, right, we have done a port forwarding, and that is also mentioned in the YML file. Yeah, here if you can see, right, these are all port forwardings. So if you go to the Spark master, right, we have done a port forwarding. This is the port forwarding which we have done. So we will go and check that what we have got. See, we have run this multiple times. This is what I was telling, the application name, right, in the code which we have mentioned. If you go back and see, that is our this thing, this hello world. So we executed it multiple times. It will show how many times, how many jobs is completed. This is actually the Spark master IP. Okay, but as we know, right, all these runs in the worker nodes. So we'll go to the that one. We better go with this one. Okay, so this status showed skilled, that nothing to worry about that, because that is had to be handled at the Hadoop level. If you do a setting, it will become completed, although it is being killed, as because we see, right, that our thing has come properly, so it's fine. And we can ensure that by seeing the output logs as well. If we see the output logs, it will say us, this, while you go back, this issue might come because IP address and the name gets interchanged, right? So that's what. So we go back to our, this 808107, this is our one. So we go to the application rather than going on there. So this is our application which ran in the worker nodes, and it used 4 cores, and this is the worker node. Once you go in, right, I think once we go, yeah, we will be able to see this is the log which is there, which we were able to see in the command line, but here also we are able to see. So later on, once the job executes, right, it comes to this 8080 port. One second, once I am doing back, sometimes page is not found is coming because this IP address is getting changed with the container name once we do a back, so that's why. Okay, so now here we are. So we have one worker and we have submitted the job, and we could see that those have completed and it has given me output. Okay, so next what we will do is, we will go and we will see each of the activities. We will connect with the Hive as well and see how we can do all these activities in the environment. Now, as I was telling, right, see, this is my local machine, and now I have a hello world or something. This can be opened with a PyCharm. We'll see that in the next video, how we will open in the PyCharm, and we can just do the checking in the ID, because writing in ID is easier. we'll do in the IDE, and then probably what we can do, we can go and we can execute like this. So it executes in a environment. And also my motto of doing this was, we can connect with the Hive, okay, using this. See, setting up in a machine Hive is also can be done, but I would say rather than that, we can do it in this environment. And the advantage to that is that we can as well like do the worker node increase and all. Now there is one worker node, right? But in the future, what I'm planning is this worker node, right? I will make it to 2 or 3, and then we'll see how it works. Okay, so that would give us a feel of the cluster. So all these are there in the future. Hope we could have some progress. You can also do this practically at your end, and if you face any issue, please mention in the comments. Thank you. Thanks for watching the video.